Hey everyone, Shawn Clement here, Wisdom in Golf for Golf WRX at the magnificent Royal Quebec Golf Club. It's a wonderful Sunday evening here, and one of the tournaments I went down to see was the Travelers on my way down to New Jersey. I had some clinics down there, and on my way back I stopped on the Sunday afternoon, followed the last group in, and then went to the driving range to see divot patterns. And boy, oh boy, and the range there was just spectacular. The grass was like this, it's just gorgeous. And you could really see, and I'm posting some nice pictures of divot patterns right now, and you can see how tidy many of those divot patterns are and how they had very specific targets. And you could see that the practice session and the warm-up session had a very, very specific goal. So we're going to use this video here to not only show you how you want to practice and how to develop that same divot pattern that was really, started by Vijay Singh a while back. And he would put that water bottle there and he would make those very long strips of divot patterns, and then a lot of pros, caught on to that and they thought that was a really good idea. And so I'm gonna show you how to start your divot pattern and how to be very specific with your targets and understand what really solid ball striking is all about, okay? So I've got a very specific target. I'm gonna show you first and foremost in front of me here how a couple of divots are going to be taken, and then I'll show you something from down the line, and then we'll do some close-ups on some shots here, okay? So I've got a yellow flag here at the back of the range that I'm going for, so I've lined up my alignment rod, and I'm setting up parallel to that, and I'm just doing some tidy little draws. So I'm playing the ball a smidgen back in my stance. I got my lob wedge here to start off, and I feel like I'm just releasing just a smidge to the right of that intermediate point. So I'm gathering, and I'm releasing just a smidge right of that intermediate point. So I've taken my first divot. The next ball you want to put right at the back of that divot. We're going to be using the exact same piece of grass to hit that shot with, and the same divot to hit the shot with. So now my next divot becomes an air divot. Also helps you, remove a lot of wear and tear on the joints. As you continue to hit shots, you have much less turf to come through. So you stand back here and you realize, wow, that divot's lined up beautifully toward that yellow post. And so that's a neat trick for when you go to the par threes and you tee the ball up at the back of a divot that's lined up in the direction that you want to start the ball. So if you have a tendency to fade, you find a little divot that's a little left of the flag and you just follow the divot and you've got your own natural training aid. So I'm going to hit that second shot again. So the ball's just a hair back of center. And I'm feeling right now that this divot is already occupied, right? I'm already moving through the stem of that dandelion. And just so you know, the only way to cut the stem of that dandelion, which is in the center of the ball, is to catch the ball first. So in the effort of cutting through the stem along the surface of the ground in the direction of this alignment rod, I'm already catching the ball first and creating a proper divot. So here's the next one. Another gorgeous little shot, about 10 feet left of the flag. And now I'm starting to open up that divot. And you'll see that even though they're flush, you catch the ball and then you'll catch the turf. There's always that, so you're going to have to, you'll see how even though you're hitting them flush, you still have to come back. It's not that you're hitting them fat, it's that little piece of grass that, that is being removed from underneath that ball as you cut through. So let's do one more. I see my stem to cut. I'm gathering, cut through that stem, and there's we have a shot that's just 5 feet left of the flag, really flush. So let's have a look at that right now. There's the yellow flag. There's my alignment rod, and there's my divot pattern, okay? So I'm going to set up right there. Grab another ball. Place it at the back of that divot. And I'm going to continue feeling that the divot beyond the ball is the sole of the club is moving, catching the stem and moving down and through that divot and continuing that divot in that direction. Gather. Cutting through that divot. That was about 30 feet left of the flag. There's my next one. So I'm going to do one more with the lob wedge. And you notice with the lob wedges all the way through to the pitching wedges, the divots obviously are going to be a little deeper because it's a shorter club, it's a steeper plane naturally. So I see my stem, gather, cut through that stem. Very nice. So now that I've got this wonderful pattern, we're going to put you back up in front here and I'm going to show you, what it looks like, and you're going to actually see the sole of the club disappearing through that divot as I'm hitting my shots. So here's that 7-iron. I'm putting that at the back of the divot. I'm going to play just a little bit of a straight fade through there. So I'm playing the club in the center, my ball just forward of the club. And I'm going to cut through the stem and keep borrowing that divot. And that was perfect. That was all over that yellow post. Just observe the blur of this club as it goes down and through that divot. Five feet left of the flag, just beautiful. So a very nice way to stay extremely tidy with your shots. So now if I go draw, now I feel like I'm going to follow the right edge of the divot with the toe of the club as I'm passing through. Yeah, did you hear that? That was wonderful. So now I'm just shaving the outer edge of that divot with the toe of the club. So as you get to longer clubs, you'll notice that you're going to stop following the bottom of that divot, and it's just going to feel very, very light in your hands as I get to the 5-iron, the 3-iron, and the fairway woods. Okay? Here's one more in slow motion. So the takeaway, top of backswing, cutting through the dandelion. Keep coming. See my hands come through, then the shaft, then the heel of the club. The ball compresses on the club, comes off the club right about there. And then the club keeps going down and through that divot. Okay? So an absolutely wonderful image of how we're going to be continuing through the ball. Hear that sound? Huh. That started 2 feet right and hugging the right side of that flag. So if you watch, and I enjoy a good divot here. You'll see some players have much tidier, shallower divots than that. When you're doing that for a living and you're hitting shots 5 hours a day, you can get pretty darn tidy. So now if I play that draw one more time, watch how tidy that ball starts out. So I'm following that divot. See that? Started right on the flag, and it's a 1-yard draw, 2-yard draw, just 2 yards left of that flag stick. And if I do that fade again, A little forward to center. Super deluxe. Little more. That's following the left side of the flag. Just went right over the flagstick. Just a fabulous way to zone in that accuracy on your shots. Keep using the same divot and make sure it's towards a specific target. So you've got your alignment rod, but you've got a very specific, tidy little ball flight that you're delivering into your picture. And then once you're done with one, you'll see then the divot patterns have, you know, they're picking several different targets on the driving range there. And it's really, really interesting to see. And you could tell which ones are the supreme ball strikers and which ones are a little less tidy with their ball striking, a little more field players, if you will. So hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next week. Oh, and by the way, hitting out of a divot's not a scary proposition. You remember we talked about cutting the dandelion. That dandelion stem is still down there. So if I cut through the dandelion stem along the surface of the bottom of the divot, this ball will come straight out. So I actually have a little training aid here to keep me in line. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little straight fade. So I gather, and I'm cutting through the dandelion stem, and I just prolong that divot right there, and that was flush right out, just 10 feet left of the flagstick. If I want to do my little draw, you see how deep this is, right? So I've got, there we go. So I've got ball back in my stance, see my stem, and I'm just going to gather and cut through the bottom of that divot. And there it goes. Nice draw, right side of the flag, about 12 feet right of that flagstick. So divots really don't have to be scary. You can do this off pavement, off cart paths, off pieces of wood, you name it. You're just cutting through a dandelion stem, and that dandelion stem is very easy to access. All you got to do is follow the surface of the ground with the sole of the club, and you'll cut it perfectly every time. All the best.